In the early 1970s, a young couple named the Perrons moved into a secluded farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. The house was large, charming, and affordable, an ideal setting for their growing family. However, they soon discovered that their new home had a history far darker than they could have imagined. Shortly after moving in, the Perrons began to experience unsettling phenomena. The family reported strange noises, footsteps echoing through empty rooms, doors slamming shut on their own, and whispers in the dead of night. The atmosphere in the house was increasingly oppressive, and it felt as if something or someone was always watching them. Things escalated when the family's youngest daughter, Cindy, began seeing apparitions. She described a woman in an old-fashioned dress who seemed to linger in the house, her presence felt but rarely seen. As time went on, more sinister entities revealed themselves. Objects moved on their own, and the air grew colder, even in the height of summer. The Perrons learned that the house had a grim history. It had once belonged to a woman named Bathsheba Sherman, a suspected witch who had lived there in the 19th century. Legend had it that Bathsheba had been involved in occult practices and was even accused of sacrificing a baby. Her ghost was rumored to haunt the property, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to live there. Desperate for help, the Perrons sought the assistance of Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous paranormal investigators. The Warrens conducted several investigations and claimed to have encountered disturbing evidence of supernatural activity. They reported feeling an intense malevolent presence and noted that the house seemed to feed off fear and negative energy. Despite their efforts to cleanse the house, the Warrens admitted that the presence in the Perron home was one of the most troubling cases they had ever encountered. The family eventually endured years of ongoing disturbances before moving out. Though they sought refuge elsewhere, the shadows of their experience in the farmhouse never fully left them. To this day, the Perron family's story remains one of the most chilling accounts of hauntings connected to real-life events. The farmhouse has been the subject of numerous investigations and inspired various books and movies, including the 2013 film The Conjuring, which dramatized their harrowing experiences. After the Perrons moved out of the farmhouse, the new occupants hoped for a fresh start, but the sinister presence seemed to have an insidious way of continuing its influence. The next few years saw several families come and go, each reporting their own eerie experiences. Strange noises, cold spots, and ghostly apparitions remained a part of the house's atmosphere, driving many away in fear. One of the more recent occupants, a local historian named Laura, decided to delve into the history of the house more deeply. Fascinated by the tales of Bathsheba Sherman, Laura conducted extensive research, scouring old newspapers, court records, and local archives. What she uncovered was both chilling and intriguing. Laura found records of a series of unexplained deaths and disappearances connected to the property over the decades. Not only had Bathsheba Sherman been a figure of local legend, but there were also reports of strange occurrences in the house long before the Perrons arrived. It seemed that each new resident faced the same haunting presence, and the house had become infamous for its malevolent reputation. Among the records, Laura discovered a particularly disturbing account. In the early 1900s, a local farmer had committed suicide on the property, leaving behind a diary that spoke of a dark entity tormenting him. The diary's entries became increasingly erratic and desperate, eventually concluding with a cryptic statement, "The house will never let me go." Laura's investigation drew the attention of a paranormal research group eager to explore the house's mysteries further. Armed with modern equipment and a thirst for answers, the team set up an extensive investigation, hoping to document any supernatural activity and uncover the truth behind the haunting. During their investigation, the team experienced phenomena that matched the Perrons' accounts. They recorded EVP, electronic voice phenomena, that seemed to answer their questions in chilling whispers. One recording captured a voice saying, "Leave while you can," a warning that seemed both urgent and despairing. Their equipment also detected unexplained spikes in electromagnetic fields and temperature drops, consistent with the hauntings' reported activity. As they ventured deeper into the house, they encountered an unexpected discovery. Hidden behind a wall in the basement was an old, ornate mirror, covered in a thick layer of dust. When examined, The mirror was found to be an antique, rumored to have been a prized possession of Bathsheba Sherman. The mirror seemed to hold a strange, almost hypnotic quality. When the team attempted to photograph it, the camera malfunctioned, producing only blurry, distorted images. The investigation concluded with no definitive answers, but the mirror was left in place, with the team speculating that it might have been a focal point for the malevolent energy in the house. Despite their findings, the team's experience left them with more questions than answers. Laura continued her research, and her findings contributed to the house's growing legend. She also found that while the house's dark history had undoubtedly played a role in its haunting, the true nature of the malevolent presence remained elusive. The farmhouse became a subject of fascination for paranormal enthusiasts and historians alike, each adding their own piece to the ongoing mystery. As for the Perrons, they remained haunted by their experiences, though they never returned to the farmhouse. Their story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of dwelling in places with dark histories and the challenges of confronting malevolent forces. The farmhouse, now a symbol of eerie fascination, continued to stand as a reminder of the shadows that lingered in the corners of history and the supernatural. As time went on, the legend of the Perrons farmhouse grew. The house, now infamous for its dark history and paranormal activity, became a point of intrigue for thrill-seekers and paranormal investigators from all over the world. Despite the warnings, some dared to spend the night in the hope of capturing evidence of the supernatural. In the late 1990s, a new owner, Michael Carter, a real estate investor with a penchant for refurbishing historical properties, bought the farmhouse. Michael was aware of the house's reputation but saw potential in restoring it to its former glory. He believed that by modernizing the property and dispelling the tales of hauntings, he could make it a lucrative investment. Almost immediately after moving in, Michael experienced the same phenomena reported by previous residents. Strange noises, flickering lights, and cold spots plagued him. Initially dismissive, he soon began to question his own sanity. Determined to prove that the house was just old and creaky, Michael set up surveillance cameras throughout the property. One night, while reviewing footage from the cameras, Michael saw something that made his blood run cold. In the basement, where the old mirror was still hidden behind the wall, the footage showed a shadowy figure moving with unnerving fluidity. The figure seemed to manifest near the mirror, its movements both deliberate and ghostly. Michael also noticed that the air around the mirror appeared to shimmer and distort. Desperate for answers, Michael contacted the same paranormal research group that had investigated the house years before. The team agreed to return, intrigued by the new developments. During their investigation, they discovered that the mirror was not just an antique. It was an object of deep significance to the house's dark history. The team found that the mirror had been part of a ritualistic setup in the late 19th century. Local folklore suggested that Bathsheba Sherman had used mirrors as conduits to summon and control spirits, enhancing her malevolent influence over the property. The investigators believed that the mirror might be a key to understanding the full extent of the haunting. While the team conducted their investigation, they set up a series of experiments to interact with the entities purportedly residing in the house. They used a variety of techniques, including spirit boxes, pendulums, and even a seance to communicate with any presences. The results were both fascinating and unsettling. During the seance, a spirit named Abigail spoke through one of the participants. Abigail claimed to be a former servant of Bathsheba Sherman who had been wrongfully accused of witchcraft and killed. Her spirit had been trapped in the house, unable to move on due to the lingering dark energy. Abigail's story suggested that while Bathsheba was indeed a figure of dark influence, there were also trapped souls seeking release. The team's investigation revealed that the mirror seemed to be a central focal point for the supernatural activity, amplifying the negative energy in the house. They recommended that Michael remove the mirror and perform a cleansing ritual to alleviate some of the house's malevolent forces. Michael followed their advice and removed the mirror, storing it in a secure location while he conducted the cleansing ritual with the help of spiritual practitioners. After the ritual, the haunting activity in the house lessened significantly. The once overwhelming presence seemed to recede, leaving behind a quieter, more benign atmosphere. The farmhouse was eventually renovated and put on the market, now known for its restored beauty rather than its haunted reputation. It attracted buyers interested in its historical charm rather than its ghostly past. However, Michael Carter's experience had left an indelible mark on him. He decided to document his findings and experiences in a book, sharing his journey and the hauntings legacy with a wider audience. The Perrons farmhouse, now a mix of historical intrigue and supernatural mystery, remained a symbol of the fine line between history and the paranormal. Though its dark chapters seem to have faded, it served as a reminder of the thin veil separating the living from the spectral world, where some stories never truly end but evolve into new legends. Years after Michael Carter's book on the farmhouse's haunting became a bestseller, it drew the attention of a renowned historian named Dr. Evelyn Rhodes. Known for her expertise in occult history and supernatural phenomena, Dr. Rhodes was intrigued by the new information about Bathsheba Sherman and the strange occurrences at the farmhouse. Dr. Rhodes decided to visit the property, not only to explore its historical significance but also to see if any remnants of the supernatural activity still lingered. She was particularly interested in the mirror, which had been stored in a private collector's vault after being removed from the house. After negotiating access to the mirror, Dr. Rhodes examined it closely. The mirror, while still beautiful, bore unusual markings and symbols etched into its frame. She also found that the glass was not perfectly clear. It had a slightly distorted quality, as if something was just beneath the surface. As Dr. Rhodes conducted her research, she discovered an old ledger in the local archives detailing shipments of occult items to the Perrons farmhouse during the late 19th century. The ledger mentioned a mysterious object known as the Mirror of Aletheia, which was said to be capable of revealing hidden truths and contacting otherworldly entities. The description matched the mirror's ornate design and strange properties. Intrigued, Dr. Rhodes sought out experts in occult artifacts to further study the mirror. A team of specialists conducted a series of tests and confirmed that the mirror had indeed been used in various occult rituals. They discovered that the mirror had properties allowing it to reflect not just images, but also fragments of hidden memories and forgotten events. Dr. Rhodes theorized that the mirror was not only a conduit for spirits, but also a repository for the traumatic experiences of those who had encountered it. Each time someone looked into it, the mirror absorbed and preserved their fears, desires, and anguish. Driven by this new understanding, Dr. Rhodes returned to the farmhouse with the mirror. She hoped that by using it in a controlled setting, she could uncover more about the house's dark history and possibly help any lingering spirits find peace. During her investigation, Dr. Rhodes set up a controlled experiment using the mirror. She invited a group of sensitive individuals, including mediums and psychics, to interact with it. The results were both astonishing and disconcerting. As the participants gazed into the mirror, they experienced vivid visions and sensations that seemed to transcend time. They saw glimpses of the house's past inhabitants, including Bathsheba Sherman, who appeared in one of the visions. Bathsheba was shown in a scene of intense ritualistic activity, surrounded by occult symbols and chanting. One medium, Clara, experienced a particularly profound vision. She saw Bathsheba's anguished face and heard her voice pleading for release. Bathsheba's spirit seemed to be trapped in a cycle of torment, unable to move on because of the mirror's influence. In a dramatic twist, Clara revealed that Bathsheba's torment was not solely the result of her own dark deeds, but also a consequence of the mirror's curse. The mirror had bound her spirit to the house, feeding off the fears and negative energy of those who came near it. Dr. Rhodes and her team decided to perform a final, intense ritual to break the mirror's curse and free Bathsheba's spirit. They conducted the ritual with great care, using ancient rites and symbols to counteract the mirror's malevolent power. The ritual was both physically and emotionally taxing, but as they completed it, the atmosphere in the house shifted dramatically. The oppressive presence that had once hung over the farmhouse seemed to dissipate. The air felt lighter, and the temperature returned to normal. For the first time in decades, the farmhouse was free of the heavy, dark energy that had plagued it. The mirror, now devoid of its supernatural power, was carefully destroyed, ensuring that its dark influence would never return. The farmhouse, having been cleansed of its haunting past, became a symbol of renewal and redemption. Dr. Rhodes documented her findings and the final ritual in a detailed report, which she shared with the public. Her work brought a sense of closure to the legend of the Perrons farmhouse and highlighted the complexities of dealing with supernatural phenomena. The farmhouse, once a dark and mysterious place, was transformed into a historical site of interest, visited by those curious about its fascinating past and the story of its redemption. It became a testament to the idea that even the darkest of histories can find resolution, and that some legends, though terrifying, can lead to unexpected and profound discoveries. With the mirror destroyed and the farmhouse cleansed of its dark energies, the property seemed to finally embrace its new chapter. The historical site drew visitors intrigued by its storied past and the dramatic resolution of its haunting. Dr. Evelyn Rhodes' findings were celebrated in the paranormal community, and the farmhouse became a symbol of how understanding and resolution can alter even the darkest legacies. However, not long after the mirror's destruction, a series of strange occurrences began to unfold that hinted at a new layer of mystery. Unexplained phenomena were reported not in the farmhouse itself, but in the nearby town of Harrisville. People began to experience unsettling dreams and find cryptic symbols appearing in unexpected places, such as on their doors and sidewalks. Dr. Rhodes, intrigued by these developments, returned to Harrisville to investigate. What she discovered was both surprising and deeply troubling. The symbols were remarkably similar to those associated with ancient protection wards and spells, which suggested that someone was attempting to shield something or someone from being discovered. As she dug deeper, Dr. Rhodes uncovered an old, hidden journal in the archives of the local library. The journal belonged to a woman named Margaret Lawson, a townsperson who had lived in Harrisville during the late 19th century. Margaret had been an amateur historian and had documented strange occurrences and local legends in her writings. The journal revealed that Margaret had been investigating the same dark history surrounding Bathsheba Sherman. According to her notes, she had uncovered evidence that Bathsheba's dark influence extended beyond the farmhouse and was connected to a network of secret societies operating in the region. These societies were rumored to have protected and hidden powerful occult artifacts, including the mirror, which Margaret believed was just one piece of a larger puzzle. The journal also contained detailed accounts of Margaret's own encounters with these societies. She had described being followed and threatened, and her notes hinted at a conspiracy to conceal the true extent of Bathsheba's influence. Margaret's final entry ended abruptly, suggesting she had encountered something, or someone, dangerous before she could complete her investigation. Dr. Rhodes' findings led her to conclude that Bathsheba's malevolent legacy might have been part of a larger network of occult power that still existed in the shadows. The recent strange occurrences in Harrisville seemed to be connected to this hidden network, possibly aiming to reclaim or protect some lost or stolen artifact tied to Bathsheba's dark practices. Determined to unravel the mystery, Dr. Rhodes sought the help of local historians and investigators. They worked together to trace the origins of the symbols and identify any surviving members of the secret societies Margaret had mentioned. Their investigation revealed that these societies had splintered and gone underground, with some members living in secrecy and continuing their occult practices. In a dramatic turn of events, Dr. Rhodes discovered that one of these secret societies had been active in the area and was attempting to retrieve another powerful artifact that had been hidden or lost over the years. This artifact, believed to be a key component in the network's rituals, had been rumored to be hidden in the depths of the local woods, near ancient Native American burial grounds. As Dr. Rhodes and her team ventured into the woods, they followed clues that led them to an old, abandoned stone structure covered in ivy and moss. Inside, they found evidence of recent activity, ritualistic symbols, old manuscripts, and artifacts that hinted at the society's ongoing occult practices. The team realized that the retrieval of this artifact was not just about power but also about ensuring that the dark practices associated with Bathsheba Sherman could be controlled or prevented from resurfacing. The secret society's actions were not merely attempts to protect a legacy, but also efforts to contain or exploit the dark energies that Bathsheba had once harnessed. In a tense confrontation with members of the society, Dr. Rhodes and her team managed to secure the artifact and prevent its further use. They exposed the society's activities and dismantled their operations, ensuring that their dark influence would no longer threaten the town or the farmhouse. The artifact was carefully studied and ultimately secured in a museum dedicated to the history of occult practices, ensuring that its dangerous powers were contained and studied under controlled conditions. The discovery of the artifact and the unraveling of the secret society's network added a new chapter to the story of the Perrons farmhouse and its dark legacy. With these revelations, Dr. Rhodes' work was far from over. She continued to research and document the hidden aspects of occult history, shedding light on the shadows that had long been concealed. The tale of the Perrons farmhouse, now intertwined with a larger narrative of hidden societies and ancient powers, became a compelling saga of mystery, danger, and the relentless pursuit of truth.